I had mentioned before that I was a personal trainer for years. Since I chronicled my journey to losing 100 pounds, I figure it's worth chronicling my personal training career. I might split this video, it might be really long. I don't know. We'll see. So, if you haven't seen that video of how I lost 100 pounds, I would recommend it because this video kind of works as a direct sequel of sorts because it happens right after all that. So, after I lost all that weight, I was still active and I was working a job at Yankee Stadium in New York. So, Yankee Stadium, you know how sports fans are, a little crazy. One day, one guy got really upset with me because I didn't take my hat off during the national anthem, even though I'm bald and it was hot as fuck. And he tattled on me, basically, told my supervisor. I didn't really get in trouble or anything, but I was like, this is dumb. This is legitimately dumb. I don't want to do it. So on the way home, I think it was that day or the day after, I'm thinking, I've spent the last few years learning about fitness and getting myself better. Why don't I just do something like that? And then I was like, okay, I'm quitting tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, whatever. So I did that and I started studying for my certification with the National Academy of Sports Medicine, a highly respected one. At least when I did it. I don't know what the standings are these days. But I studied for that. I forgot how long it took. 2 months? 3 months? I have no idea. Not longer than 3 months, though. I think it was 2. I don't know. Anyway, did that, took the exam, passed, and I got my certification. While I was studying, I asked at this gym called Blink, which is much more popular now than it used to be when I started. I asked, hey, you guys hiring? They're like, yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll get back to you in a couple of months. I'm getting my thing, my certification. I'll work here instead of just coming here. So I did that, got the interview. I told them, oh, I lost weight. They were like, wow. By the way, if you lose like a bunch of weight, when I lost 100 pounds, and I put that on my resume, basically, that gets you basically any personal training job you want. So, did that, started. I was just thrown to the wolves, honestly. They didn't help at all with anything. The certification didn't help that much either. If I'm being real with you, it helps with the science of it. But it helps with the science of it, so you understand what you're supposed to be doing, scientifically speaking, but the programming aspect, what you're having your clients do day to day, didn't help at all. For me, unless they updated the textbook quite a bit. It didn't help at all. So I was thrown to the wolves. I had to figure stuff out. I was not a good personal trainer to begin with, I'll be honest with you. I was learning from trial and error. Never hurt anyone, thankfully. Not to say I was like the worst guy ever. I mean, people did make progress with me, but compared to what I became later, I was straight up fucking stupid back then. So I did that. And with Blink, they had this scheduling service, which is such a pain because you had to get the client to sign every single time. And if they forgot, well, you got to either, do something funny or have a manager sign off on it or something. It's a real pain because a lot of these people are late, so you're kind of rushing, and then you have to head them out the door and... yeah, it's a lot of issues with the scheduling there. So like I said, the actual programming I learned as I went along wasn't too great, but stuff that I did learn was a bit more about selling. The unfortunate thing about being a trainer is that it is like 90% selling. If you're a great salesman, you can make a lot of money as a personal trainer. I was not a great salesman. I really actually wanted to help people out and make money, enough money to live, obviously. I did not make enough money to live. I was living with my mother, so I was good, but man, so little money. Anyway, what I learned about salesmanship there is that, man, people can tell you everything in the world. They can say, "Oh man, this sounds great. I'm gonna do it. I want to do it. Let's do it." Until there's a contract signed or you're seeing them for the first session, or the money's in your hand, whatever comes first, nothing they say matters. Period. Nothing. All right. No matter how enthusiastic, none of it matters until they're there with you for that first day and you're paid. Just keep that in mind. What I also found out is people really, really, really like to cancel last minute. They like to be late. They like to not listen to you in terms of nutrition and then blame you for it. So that's pretty cool. They like talking a lot. Now, I don't mind this too much. Like, honestly, you'd be surprised at what people are willing to tell you. It's almost like you're a psychiatrist or something. People just really, or a therapist, people just tell you whatever because they understand that they're kind of in a position of vulnerability because they're trusting you in a way with their body, and you're probably not going to ever meet their friends or family, so they feel like they can tell you some stuff, right? Some people go too much and they talk a lot and they don't get their work done while we're there. And it's hard to say, hey, can you shut up and do the thing when they're paying you? It's like, okay. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I learned a lot about people's habits and scheduling. It's just, man. Yeah, you have an early morning client. You wake up, here's the email, text message. Hey, I'm not coming in today. Cool. Now I have to make the decision. What time did they do this? Was it under 24 hours? Great. Now I have to tell them this counts. You're not getting this money back. Or if they're going to have to either stick with that decision, which is policy, or I can say, okay, we'll make it up a different day and then do it on my own time so I can still get paid. Or so I can still have them do that session and then the payment still goes to me. Or if I do want to stick with that, say, hey, you lost it, we'll do the next one. Then you have to risk them being all pissy and then just not coming back anymore. So it's tough. Oh, God. The great thing about working at a gym is that in between the downtime, you do get access to a gym. So you get to exercise, you get to be your best physical self. That's pretty cool. The other cool thing about working at a gym as a personal trainer is that you need a second job usually. So I worked at a YMHA, which if you don't know is basically a YMCA, except the H is for Hebrew as opposed to C being Christian. So a Jewish YMCA, basically. Very nice facility. That was a really chill job. Really, really cool. Just the people there didn't really go for training because they were 50 or 50 or higher, or children, and it's a little tougher, Most people when they're 50, at least in America, they're like, I'm done being active, it's fine. And for children, it's like, oh, just run around and play soccer, which is fine too. But yeah, I had both those jobs at the same time. That's how I was able to do anything at all financially. And I did both of those for about a year at the same time. And then, I'm gonna cut this. I'll do the other stuff next time. And then, I went to Blink's daddy. I applied to Equinox, the rich people gym. And I got in. And that was a whole new world of personal training, good and bad. I'll get into that later. I don't like videos going over 10 minutes too often. It's like when people see those 4 digits, it's like, I don't want to watch that. So I'll just cut it up now. It's fine. So next time I'll talk about Equinox and what that was like. All right, this time I'm gonna talk about my experience at Equinox. Last time I talked about Blink and the YMHA. Just as a funny side note, for reference, my personal training career began as soon as Trump was elected, pretty much. I remember it. I was playing Destiny with the boys. It was like, how late was it? 1 a.m. or something? The votes were coming in. And no matter what political spectrum you're on, everyone thought that Hillary was going to win over Trump, right? So we were playing. We are like, oh my God, Trump is winning. Holy fuck. And then I think the next week I started working at Blink. So from there, that's where my career basically began, like right there. So anyway, did all that Blink stuff, right? Like I mentioned last time, YMHA stuff. Then went to Equinox, which is, if you don't know, is a very bougie gym. They have spas, saunas. You know, it's a gym for rich people as well. And being in New York City, that was interesting as well. Yeah, I will say off the bat, I did see some celebrities. I saw The Rock in person. I saw Kevin Hart in person, who is even shorter than you think he is, but he's also like pretty freaking jacked. Saw Anderson Cooper, Neil Patrick Harris. God, I'll get to. God, I hope I remember this. Okay, let me real quick. This is way later, but I trained. Oh God, she's such a bitch. She actually got banned from our gym. She got banned from her gym because she was just intolerable. It was crazy. I hope I don't get sued for that. It was a joke, actually. Faye Dunaway. I meant Faye Here. I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. Lawyer man. It's a joke. This is parody. So when I got to Equinox, they really emphasized growth and learning, which I really appreciated because, like I told you, at Blink, I was stupid. So at Equinox, they have you go through courses, workshops, like you need to keep your job and also to progress. They have tiers, right? So tier 1, 2, 3, 3 plus, and then X, I think, unless they change that. Maybe there's a tier 4 now. I don't know. But you learn all this stuff, and it is so incredibly helpful. One of the best things to improve your confidence and, write better programming for your clients and have clients want to work with you is knowing what the hell you're talking about. So when you learn more, you know what you're talking about, so your words have conviction and backing behind them, and people are like, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. Let's do this. Still wasn't a great salesman, though, because I just couldn't, I couldn't go all the way with some of those tactics. If you know a lot about sales, you know that they kind of, I don't want to say all salesmen are scummy people, but the whole point of sales is to kind of get under a person's skin, find out what they want, and then kind of emotionally get them to pay you so you can, give them what they want. That's kind of what it is. So it is what it is. The good thing about that is when you do actually find out what they want, you can tailor that more towards, you can tailor their goals towards that, or that towards their goals, whatever. For example, if I think I used this example before, the real thing, a lot of people, I want to be fit, why, blah, 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 to be a better parent. Play with my kids. Cool. You bend over a lot as a child, as a parent to pick up your child. That means you have to have a strong posterior chain, that kind of stuff. So it does help in that sense. But what they want you to do there is say, hey, this person really wants to do this for their kids. You gotta say, hey man, you want to be around for your kids, right? You want to be alive, right? You don't want to die, right? So give me a lot of money, and then you'll live to play with your kids, that kind of thing. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they kind of want you to do that kind of shit, and I can't do that. So yeah, I just kind of went through the system tier 1, tier 2, almost got to tier 3 before I left Equinox. What happened was there was a client that last minute had to change their schedule, and that just really killed the requirements to reach tier 3, which is, I think you have to reach a certain amount of sessions in certain consecutive weeks or something. So that killed it, and then yeah, the momentum, it was a little tough. So I was tier 2 up to the end. The other advantage I mentioned at Blink was that working at a gym meant you have access to a gym. This is like, it's so much better at Equinox. The gyms Equinox owns are awesome. They're so clean. They have so much stuff. They have all this space. It's really awesome. And when you're there, you have all this time to better yourself and just speak with coworkers who are very, very intelligent. It's just a great place to grow as a trainer, because all the people who are like tier 3, tier X, tier 3 plus, they are smart. They know exactly what they're talking about. And, they're really busy, which is why they're at the tier that they're at. But if you can speak with them, my goodness, you can get so much information. It's crazy. So if you ever work with a top trainer at Equinox, tier 3 plus, tier X, they are good. They are very good. They're also very expensive. A tier 1, when I did it, they definitely raised prices. But when I was there, tier 1, $110 per hour. Fuck. So tier 3 plus, I think, was $140 an hour. It's like, wow. It's kind of a lot. That's kind of why only rich people go there. But good God, man. And the trainers only get about 1/4 of that. They get more of a percentage as it gets higher, but it's still, I think the highest it ever gets is like 50, which is annoying. So just have more clients, I guess. I don't know. They had a pool as well. That was pretty awesome. And all the equipment was super, super beneficial for you to not only better yourself, but to kind of work out something that you're basically to experiment with the clients you have. You're like, oh, I want to try this with this client. Let me try it and actually do it and see the logistics of it, and pretend, oh, it's busy this day, let's change. You have time and space to practice, right? And when I mention time, I also want to give a shout out to the complete garbage shit ass schedule that trainers have. How do people afford these expensive training packages? They have a job, which means 9 to 5. Not many people are at the gym. What does that mean? You have to work before 9 a.m. and after 5 p.m. usually. That means your schedule fucking sucks. So either you go home midday, come back, so you have like 2 small shifts a day, or you just stay there the whole day, work out, eat, whatever. Your whole life is at the gym, pretty much. And that's what the managers kind of want you to do. They want you to spend your whole life at the gym. They say as much, saying, hey, if you want to grow your business, you got to be here, walk around, walk the floor, talk to people. Okay. You want me to live here. So you want me to put in like 14 hours to make whatever hours of wage. Okay. That's kind of dumb. Anyway, the reason I left Equinox was because they were getting pushier and pushier with me trying to sell people, and it's getting a little... I thought I was doing pretty decently, and I was, but they were like, hey, sell more. I'm like, you're annoying. I'm gonna go now. And so I left. So I'll get into the last part. It's not gonna be much longer than this. Okay. Last time I spoke about my experience at Equinox. Now I'm going to tell you what happened after that, and then leading up to COVID, where everything stopped, ended. So during Equinox as well, remember when I said about working at Blink, one of the cool parts about being a trainer is that you need a second job. Well, I didn't need one, but I did also start having clients on the side, my own private clients, right? So I found an independent gym. You pay them a little bit, and then you get to bring your client there and go for that, right? So I had a few there. One of them was really cool. I remember she came to me at Equinox. We had a very emotional connection. I told her about my weight loss, and she, started getting really emotional, started crying, and it was like, wow, that's crazy. But I can help out if you're rich or whatever, because they don't let me charge a reasonable rate. So then I didn't see her for months, but then after I left Equinox, she contacted me separately, and then I was like, oh, great, let's have you spend less money. Let's go, let's do it. I'm so glad that you want to work at it, right? So that was cool. So I did work with my own private clients, my own personal ones. But where I jumped straight from Equinox, was this place called Focus. This place was pretty cool, but also not. Now, remember, I was whining about selling. I hate it. I hate selling. I hate trying to get under people's skin saying, hey, here are your deepest, darkest fears and desires. I can make it happen. Just pay me a lot of money. I don't like that. That's scummy shit. Now, if that means I'll never be super rich, then whatever. Let's see what happens with that, right? But I felt really uncomfortable doing that. So Focus, you don't sell anything. They have people on the phone for that. They call up the clients. They're like, hey, you want to do this? Blah blah blah. Oh, you want to buy this many training sessions? Boom, 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 bada bing, bada boom. Hey, Iceberger, you have a client at this time, at this place. Go. That was sick. No selling whatsoever. Just get the client information and you go to them and you train. That's it. That was awesome. Now, the only negative thing was, for me anyway, I lived on the Upper West Side and even, higher above that. So all these, people who wanted personal training, it also cost a lot. So these people were rich, which means they lived, in the lower west or east side, which means me getting there via public transport was a pain in the ass. And sometimes took as long as it took to actually do the session, sometimes longer. So in a way, I was kind of working half wages for some of those people. So that was cool. My fault for being poor and not living right in the city, I guess. But, that's how it was. Anyway, I only had a few clients, so it didn't end up working out. If they gave me a bunch of clients kind of stacked in a row, yeah, sure, I'll make the trip down to whatever and then see this client, and then go home or whatever. That's fine. But it wasn't like that. It was like, hey, see this person at 7 a.m. and then go see this other person at 3 p.m. So that sucks. That really sucks. So yeah, eventually it just it didn't quite work out that way. So it didn't work out the way I wanted, so I looked elsewhere. I looked for work at a YMCA. And that location was way closer to my home. It was like a 15-minute walk. So save money, save time. That was cool. So I worked there, and as they have you do in a lot of gyms, they have you walk the floor. And in most gyms, that means walk around, pick stuff up, harass people to see if they want to train with you. Here at this YMCA, they wanted you to walk and pick stuff up if it was askew, but they didn't really push you to sell, like, at all. You can just be there, and that's it. So that was good. Now, obviously, at times, if I saw someone struggling or they came up to me, then I'd be like, hey, yeah, let me help you out. By the way, you want more help in a programized way, we can do this, take a look at this, blah, blah, blah. prices were way better. I think they were like half of what Equinox prices were. So, still not ideal, but I understand the cut that the YMCA takes, the one I take, whatever. So, much better anyway, right? Didn't have too many clients, but I did have some consistent ones, which was pretty good. Made some really good progress too. These people, some people at Equinox, they really did take the nutrition seriously. The ones who took it seriously, they made wild progress. I remember this one guy, I won't say his name, but he was cool. Two of them actually. One of them was actually, I won't say his name either, but he was basically in a higher position in the company that owned Equinox. So I was basically training the guy who partially owned all this shit, right? That guy became my strongest client at Equinox because he was on point with the fitness. His diet was pretty decent, but on fitness, he was on point. This guy was crazy. And the other guy, his fitness was pretty good, but his nutrition was godlike. He slimmed the hell down, was doing pull-ups for the first time ever. It was crazy. So good things happen when you follow the process, right? Trust the process. Good things happen. At the YMCA, some people did, and they started to notice, like, oh, if I actually stick to nutrition and the fitness, then things happen in tandem. It's good. There were a few people who were like, nah, I'm not going to count anything. I'm not going to count calories, no nutrition. Well, a couple of them, I think it was only 2 people. They got upset and like, it's not really working. I don't know if you know what you're talking about, what you're doing. It's tough to say, hey, you're dumb and wrong. Trying to keep it professional, trying to say, hey, this is the science, this is what I did. I lost a lot of weight, got pretty fit. Science and experience, I think I have reasonable evidence for pushing this process, but okay. One of them even told me, hey, I'm gonna not trust what you're saying because it's not really working, and I'm going to go to this doctor in Mexico and get this surgery and pills so I can get my goals. I'm like, okay, have fun with that, I guess. Anyway, yeah, there were some people who made a ton of progress at the YMCA. It was very chill too. They also had a pool. I was there at night, so very, very relaxed. On the way home, I didn't feel that safe, but those are the hours I chose, so whatever. So that was pretty fulfilling. Overall, being a trainer is very fulfilling, but it's also a lot of work, and it's really annoying. It's almost like what I would imagine being a parent is like. You have all these people who come to you, they're vulnerable, they come to you for advice in life and their body, what should they eat, what should they do? And you have this knowledge and you try to give it to them, you try to lead them. And some of them don't necessarily follow what they're supposed to be doing. But the ones that do, they succeed and you're so proud of them. It's amazing. But man, financially that shit is not worth it. These days you kind of have to just whore yourself out on social media until you just sell people a lot of stuff, and then that's how you do it these days. One-on-one is very hard to make a profit from, so whatever. Anyway, I continued with that, and then COVID hit, and then I moved out of New York, and yeah, so that was the end of that. If anyone has any questions, I can answer in the comments, or I can make a follow-up video or something, but that's pretty much how all that went down. It was interesting, to say the least. But unless you want to whore yourself out on social media, if you become a personal trainer, be okay with being poor, but be okay with having great pride too. Whatever you want.